To be a champion, you have to believe in yourself when no one else will. Sugar Ray Robinson. My story begins in East Africa, in Mogadishu, the bustling capital of Somalia. I do not have many personal memories of living there as a child. Any memory I have has been built from the fleeting fragments of my imagination and the small collection of family photographs we still have of the beautiful 3-story house that we lived in. It had this massive garden full of the brightest of flowers, and apparently you only had to walk a few minutes to be at the beach. My parents were merchants who used to trade in gold and fabrics. They owned a shop in Mogadishu, but they travelled a lot for work too, buying and selling materials across the African continent. I came from a big family. My sister Faiza, the eldest, looked after us when our parents were away on business. My second sister, Lul, is a few years younger than Faiza. And then there are the boys, my older brothers Taha, Abdul Qadir and Imran, and my younger brother Yahya, who was born after my family left Somalia. Apart from my youngest sibling, Yahya, none of us knows our exact age or when we were born. As a family, we have debated that I must have been born roughly 30 years ago during the height of the civil war, which completely ravaged the country. It's a conflict that's still ongoing now, and one that is thought to have claimed more than 500,000 lives, making Somalia one of the most dangerous places in the world. My parents had to watch the heartbreaking destruction of the place they loved and called home, the place they'd been raising their family for the majority of their adult lives. In all the chaos of conflict, people often do not realize how difficult it is for simple things to stay the same. When my siblings and I were born, noting down the exact day, month, and year was not exactly a priority for my parents. It was a day-to-day quest just to stay safe. Even official hospital records were hard to come by to verify our ages following the destruction. For my parents, the war had begun to define and dictate our lives. The airstrikes destroyed many local businesses. Gradually, it was becoming more and more dangerous to leave the house. My older siblings had to stop going to school and my parents had to close their shop. With no money coming in and food and supplies becoming scarce across the city, it was a difficult time, but things were only about to get worse. The airstrikes in Mogadishu were constant. Whole towns and villages were reduced to rubble in minutes. Places that were full of vitality and life would fall silent before it began all over again. The noise from the bombs dropping filled my family with fear. Each time they heard the distant rumble, they would gather us all up to take cover in the house. During one particular airstrike, my older brother, Abdul Qadir, was in the garden. My mum had told him not to go outside, but he was adamant he wanted to play, and that is exactly what he was doing when out of nowhere he was caught in the blast of a stray grenade. My dad and my uncle were inside the house, and as soon as they heard the blast, they ran outside to find Abdul Qadir. He was badly hurt and barely conscious. He could not stand up, so they carried him back to the house. My mum went into shock as soon as she saw him because his skin had turned a sickly green, a result of the chemicals in the bomb. My dad and my uncle knew they had to get him to the hospital immediately, but the roads were badly damaged following the strike, so they placed him in a wheelbarrow and made the journey like that. Along the way, they came across destroyed roads that led to nowhere and black and burnt-out shells, where tall buildings had once stood. Eventually, they arrived at the hospital and handed my brother over. My mum had made it to the hospital a little later, leaving Faiza at home to look after us. My mum desperately searched for my dad and uncle but could not find them. Instead, she raced in the direction of the operating theatre looking for Abdul Qadir, and when she got there, she peered through the large glass window and saw a young boy being operated on. She called out through the glass to the limp body on the table. A nurse came out and broke the news to her that the boy lying in the operating theatre was not her son. Despite the doctors' and nurses' best efforts, Abdul Qadir did not make it.